Bonjour and a very warm welcome to the World Rugby U20 Championship for 2018. 849 kilometres from Paris and the old department, a sub-prefecture, is the beautiful town of Narbonne. Once a prosperous port and a major city in Roman times, and the prosperity of two countries will be known soon. It is the defending champions New Zealand taking on Japan. Let's have a look at the three pools. Defending champions New Zealand are drawn alongside their neighbours Australia, Wales, and the newly promoted Japan. Well, Pool B is headlined by beaten finalists in 2017, and England getting the job done against Argentina by 11 points, or 21 points rather. And then in a cliffhanger, Italy scored the match-winning try to take the game 27-26 in a thriller. And if there was a pool of death in this tournament, it is Pool C, which sees the highly regarded South Africans just get home against Georgia by 6. The host, France, will play Ireland a little bit later on this evening. It is New Zealand taking on Japan here in the south of France at the beautiful Narbonne Stadium. And the coin toss was held a little bit earlier on. Japan won the toss and have elected to play right to left, as you said on your screen. Let's have a look at the starting teams. And defending champions New Zealand won the Oceania competition as a build-up and have rewarded players from that event. Satutu moves from the blind side to control things at number 8. Caleb Trask will be the architect in that pivotal position. And Vilimoni Koroi, the All Black 7 sensation, gets given the responsibility at fullback. Alongside me, former England international Tom May. And Tom, Japan will look to try and slay Goliath.
If ever there was a tough start for Japan, this is it. This group of players will no doubt want to continue the good work of 2017, where they gained promotion back into the tournament. Expect explosive fireworks from the likes of 110 kilo for Fito in midfield and Atapeli Mawala at 8.
Six-time champions New Zealand, led out by their inspirational captain Thomas Christie, taking on the brave blossoms of Japan here in Narbonne. New Zealand winning the Oceania Championship and coming in as the defending champions against the newly promoted Japanese side, who won the tournament in Uruguay in 2017. Their best finish has been 10th in 2015, a record of 3 wins, 17 losses. And the superlatives run long and deep when we talk about this New Zealand side. Winners in the first 3 years from 2008 to 2011, again in 15, and then last year they scored the most points, 282, 41 tries in 2017. What can we expect and what will we get from the class of 2018? As the players make their way onto this magnificent field in the beautiful town of Narbonne, we now wait in anticipation of both national anthems. David v Goliath, the land of the rising sun, up against the land of the long white cloud. New Zealand v Japan, as we now prepare ourselves for the cultural challenge, the haka from New Zealand. Kia ora and good morning to our viewers and TV through TVNZ and Spark on the Duke channel in New Zealand, and konnichiwa to the Sky Sports crew in Japan and viewers around the world. Here comes the New Zealand haka. In jersey 19, and here are the members of the New Zealand team, a big front row. Tucker is there from Canterbury Florence, their inspirational captain, and Thomas Christie and Satutu. Sportwood and Whainuku are the two wingers. Vilamoni Koroi, the outstanding fullback. And Japan returned to the championship this year after winning the trophy title in Uruguay. And fullback Kyohei Yamazawa, his older brother, played in the under-20s comp in 2013. He won 3 caps for the national side in 2017. Fafita and Mori form a formidable midfield combo. The game now set and poised and will be controlled by Andrea Piardi. I'm Willie Losa, alongside me, former England international Tom May. And Tom accepting the challenge from New Zealand. Now the Japanese need to get on task as we're underway in this, the first match between these two sides. New Zealand in the black, Japan in the red and white, and immediately the dummy not held gets up and goes again. Strong run. This from Vailea.
Pick him back.
Back into the pocket, they can't kick it out on the full. Coming up is Trask. The New Zealand first 5 to Koroi, watch out, he's dangerous. Sport gets his first touch, and now this is Proctor. Billy Proctor out of the Wellington region, the capital of New Zealand. There's the 10-metre line, you can see inside the Japanese half row is the halfback. Quick ball along the chain, the players with the small numbers on the back. Eventually it gets out to Whainuku. Beats the first. Whainuku with a ball on the inside. Tucker's in. 50 seconds gone. The Baby Blacks have scored.
Amazing start for the Baby Blacks. You wouldn't expect anything less than an outstanding try. And that is exactly what we got. Will Tucker. Difficult for a big man to get on his bike like that, but some great handling. Don't often see that from front row forwards, but Numia played a key role in that, and that offload from Whainuku, well, that was something special. Just that ability to get on the outside of the defender, ride the tackle, and it was a big tackle as well. It shows you how strong he is.
Will Tucker out of the Canterbury region, a former St. Bede's student, and his brother James played in the 2014 under-20 side, now a member of the Chiefs playing Super Rugby, and the Tucker family I know will be watching. Will be absolutely thrilled to see Will Tucker in for the first. Trask can't adjust with the angle, and after such a good start from Japan, they just fell off tackles. And the offload game and the skill set from these men with the small numbers on the back, outstanding.
Yeah, it was a good first up defensive set for Japan. They just got caught really narrow, didn't they? And when you've got the passing ability of these baby blacks, so easy for them to get the ball back to the width.
They've been rocked. Have Japan. Early try from New Zealand. And that just compounds the problems, not finding the right kick and just putting it out, giving New Zealand another attacking chance.
I was about to say, after we saw the challenge laid down by the New Zealand team, very important that actually Japan aren't beaten before the first whistle mentally. Don't want to sort of over-egg the importance of that mental side. It's all very well getting physically up for the game, but actually, we hear it so many times, don't we? That top 2 inches, you've got to have everything concentrated.
Combinations in this New Zealand team that date back to secondary school days. There is Rowe out of Hamilton Boys. Trask, the first 5 also out of the same school, so Rowe has options. They can go to left and right. They go to the left. There is Trask. Takes it to the line, Proctor. And easily, the New Zealand team get 12 easy meters now. The ball out to Florence. Former New Zealand secondary school player as well. There is Rose. Rose, the dummy, and goes through. Rowe with the hitch kick. That tackle looked a little high around the shoulder. And Fainganuku's over, but the referee's just going to check here.
Time off.
Xavier Rowe took off. And they're going to go back for...
If he has scored, just check grounding and touch it.
So, Philip, please.
So the grounding
and Chuck
is one thing.
Can you check the grounding
line, and if
and
this
the
is
line
not
out?
a try, they'll go back for the penalty
for
the high shot. But New Zealand running back, Fainganuku, if he's a poker player, he's playing his hand nice and early here because they're back at the halfway in New Zealand.
Dumped well there, isn't he? Rowe to get on the outside. You're right, though, that shot was a bit high. But that could be one of the finishes of the tournament.
Well, it's early days, mate, and I think you're right.
I've called it early.
Oh, the Tasman winger scores, and Fainganuku, whose older brother was in the team 12 months ago, scores one of the great tries on day 1 here in the south of France. And New Zealand are better than a point a minute.
That is a superhuman effort there from Fainganuku. It always helps when you can hold that ball in one hand.
I'm fine. Thank you.
Have the ability to stretch out. Truly special, that was.
This is young Caleb Trask, part of the New Zealand touch team, and again unable to get the extras, but just have a look at the break here from Rowe through the dummy. Nobody saw it. Yamasawa comes across. That's a penalty because you can't tackle anything higher than chest height up above the shoulders, and the offload, and then Fainganuku looked like Superman flying through the air.
Just Fujiwara in those, if you're in that A position around the breakdown, do not move out of that position.
The high kick, and it's deep, gives the chasers a chance to get up there. Rowe lets it bounce, and this is Sotutu wearing jersey number 8. He's big and strong. Father, a terrific rugby player for Auckland and the Blues, and now here comes Moala, winds up the big Tongan-born Fijian representative. He gets met by Mafaleo. Here's strong defence again from Thomas and Sotutu.
Tackle now, release.
Now the tackle, they've got to release. Here goes Fujiwara. Gets it out. This is Fafita. Seosaya. Fafita now, the kick, it's been charged down. into the hands of another Japanese player. They're starting to find a few gaps here in this New Zealand defence, and quickly it's recycled out to one of the big boppers, and Fafita again gets rid of the first defender. Quickly it's out from Fujiwara. Quick hands again, looking for the man with the play. The kick option is there. The bounce is good. Kuroi gets back, and now he fumbles it. Throws it out to Trask. And he uses the reliable right foot. And that's a nice net gain from the Japanese team.
Chalk and cheese, those Japanese centres, aren't they? Mori weighing just a little over 80 kilos at 12. Fafita, just 110. Slightly different in the way they play the game. But it was a great kick from Mori. Look at that.
That was the run by Moala, the big number 8. Now they look to go a little wide, and coming from outside in is Fafita, trying to use his bulk. The 110 Ks of pure Tongan beef. Just didn't hold on to the ball, but they're trying to play the game with pace, aren't they?
They are trying to play with pace. I think it's key that they use those guys like Moala and Fafita, but it's important that they get them over the gain line, but then they actually use them as decoy runners. Suck defenders in, try and create that space in and around them so that the likes of Mori and Nazuka can get themselves through.
Number of the Japanese team, 3 of them, to be exact, of Tongan descent. They get offered scholarships and they spend time at the schools and universities in Japan, but New Zealand have ball in hand. The missed pass gets it one wider out to Sullivan. He's big and strong, throws it out to Kuroi, and now it's tidied up by Trask. So he runs around the cape and then decides to go straight ahead. Rowe out to the try scorer, Tucker. Back to the right they come, Kuroi. Throws the dummy pass, and now the missed tackle through the gap goes forward. Big and strong is the man that played at New Zealand Barbarians in school just a couple of years ago. Aka Uola Laula. He got his hands to the ball, and now it becomes loose as a sport again. Goes back, Kuroi. It looks like 7s here from the New Zealand team. They've got a couple of players that have been in the New Zealand 7s environment. That pass has gone forward, and there is an advantage here because Japan have kicked it, and they'll get the net gain as well.
They'll take that. Just breaking up into a bit of mayhem, wasn't it there? And you're right, 7s was the call. Certainly they don't want to go too far down that route. New Zealand more than capable of handling themselves on that front. Japan, well, they just put their boot to ball a couple of times.
And here comes another break from Whainganuku. Now the footwork, lovely dance moves from Whainganuku. Needs some support. It arrives in the form of Florence, and now Trask, the kick along the ground. Kuroi picks it up! The magician in 7s shows his class in 15s. Vilimoni Kuroi scores the 3rd.
Again, class from New Zealand. Absolutely brilliant. We saw Japan kick the ball upfield, fairly aimless kicks. When we see the replay of this kick, just the thought and the intelligence behind it, keep the ball in play. Well, and actually that's something pretty special as well, isn't it? The pick up from Kuroi. Completely bamboozles myself there. Bamboozles the Japanese defense. Really difficult now for the Japanese. 10 minutes gone, 15 points down. They can't just roll over. They need to dig into this game. Effectively, they've got nothing to lose. Try plays, try things out. Big few weeks ahead for this Japanese team.
They've been in and out of the championship over the last few years. In the competition in 2015, losing or finishing at the bottom of the table meant that they were relegated. Then they won promotion last year in 2017 to get back in the top league. Of course, hosting the Rugby World Cup of 2019 as Trask adjusts the radar and gets the reward, 17-0. A clinic here, but what about the pickup from Kuroi?
The kick through just into space. So difficult for that isolated Japanese defender. He feels under pressure because he's got 3 or 4 New Zealand attackers bearing down on him. Eyes come off the ball just for a split second and Koroi's in behind him.
Again, it's a high kick. It's just in play. Lovely restart there, beautifully judged, and Sport didn't have too many options but to take it a metre inside his own half. Now they get it out to Akula Laula. Big John, they call him, spent an off-season in Japan. Did the lock for New Zealand, so he's well aware of the Japanese style as Moala picks it up into the midfield for Fita, goes one wider. This is Yamasawa, he's isolated. They get to him quickly, and now the forwards look to try and rumble it up. Fujiwara throws it behind them. Mori runs back to where the heavy traffic is. They control the ball and the tempo now out to Ishida out of the Senshu University. Fujiwara gets it back now to Mamata. He goes to the air and gives it to Kuroi, and that's an easy claim from the Baby Blacks fullback. Just looking a little rushed are the Japanese, and Kuroi will tap to himself and then look to unleash the right foot. Doesn't get too much of a purchase on that. Wouldn't the Japanese be better, Tom, to just keep ball in hand? Okay, they're not making the advantage line, but they've got to move this big New Zealand pack around.
I think you're right, and if they make these kicks and they decide to put the boot to ball, they need to make touch. Make sure the ball bounces on the ground. Don't give Koroi that opportunity to catch and kick away.
Miyu Arai from the Tokai University. Got the bios from the Japanese team, and a lot of them started playing just 4 or 5 years ago. As Fafita uses bulk again to carry it forward. They come again out the left. Mamata bounces off the first hit. Fujiwara from Tenri University out to Arai. No way through there. Christie looked interested in trying to get the turnover but couldn't. Now they look for the kick along the ground. It's retrieved by New Zealand. That's nice play from Flynn Thomas, the man out of Southland Boys High School a couple of years ago. And another penalty to New Zealand here.
Again, though, it's Japan just kicking the ball away when they've got good possession. That's time to try and build on the yardage that they're getting. Not having a huge amount of opportunity.
Well, I'll give you a stat. After 13 minutes, 20 carries for New Zealand for 235 metres. Japan have carried on 11 occasions for 45. You have to be a brain surgeon to work that out.
And the other stat that's standing out to me is the tackles missed. Only 1 by the All Blacks and 12 by the Japanese side. Under pressure defensively. Just need to sharpen up on their systems and their one-on-one individual tackles.
And here it is. The stat that Tom May was talking about. Same amount of tackles, but Japanese have, boy, it's like playing touch, missing 12 of the 15. Hence the reason they trail by 17 after almost the first quarter of the game. So a change here. Fukui comes in, the man from Panasonic. Lovely line from Sport. Absolute class out of the top drawer. The Japanese were having tea, and Jamie Sporwood says, I'm just going to run through the whole of Japan and pick up a try.
Great individual score, but it's a set-piece move, isn't it? It's one that's been practiced time and time again. Check the angle, back against the grain. Get in behind that line out, so difficult to defend. Oh.
One of the great finishers in the game.
Okay.
The winger, he's been involved. He got the ball, his eyes lit up like a possum in headlights. And the Tasman finisher gets it done. They're just going to check something now. from the video referee was there a hint of a forward pass. That's the problem. And that's what they might be coming back for.
Seen a couple of passes like that today, haven't we?
You be the judge at home. Is that forward? Yes, I think it is. It's clearly drifted forward out of the hand of Rowe.
Can you show me again, please?
So the referee just getting closer to the big screen here. He's had to walk 60 metres.
Can you show me again?
He can't ask for a bigger screen, can he?
And this is good officiating. You've got the technology, let's use it. He deserves a 5-point at a sport, but that's clearly gone forward.
I love the way Sport actually went out and around
So do you think
the line out and then came
the
back
ball
against the
comes
grain. That's what beats
from the
defence,
hands
is that
forward?
change of angle.
For me, it's a forward pass.
Okay. So forward pass, no try.
Correct.
Okay. No try.
Yeah, that's the right
forward.
decision. I know they won't be celebrating in
Time on.
the Tasman region, which is the top of the South Island in New Zealand,
Just out of
because he deserved the
22.
try.
forward pass.
That was some of my best work as well. Well, how did Japan respond? They've just dodged a massive bullet and conceding the 4th try. And Japan is so used to playing with the game at speed, and now the set piece is under pressure. The ball flies out. Fujiwara just batters it back to Mamata. Very little that 19-year-old first 5 could do, but they've got possession. They've gone back 8 metres from the scrum that they had won. Into the contact, tackle made by Florence. Can kick it out on the full, but goes downtown and gives it to the man that was denied just moments ago. Sport, and he's dropped it cold. So Japan now had a real opportunity to try and break out. And
Second red.
just an uncharacteristic error there from the New Zealanders.
Yeah, just an individual error, but a lesson for any young kids watching. Get that ball in 2 hands. It's a fairly warm night here in Narbonne. There'll be a fair amount of grease and sweat on the ball as the dew settles on the grass. Need to keep that ball safe at all times, no matter if you've got no defenders around you.
Crouch. Bind. Set.
Let's see if they can just stay strong, and they have the balls at the 8. So Moala can release it. Fujiwara. Now to Morty, they loop around in another area here, but it's gone backwards, says the referee. So the original one went backwards, and then on that occasion, they've lost it forward. So they're just panicking here, Japan. And that's just the line speed from this New Zealand team.
Yeah, they're under pressure at the set piece, aren't they, which is causing them problems from the off. Can understand why they're trying to use Fafita. But the way those 2 defenders came in on him there, you just have to think that that was probably a poor decision. The ball should have gone out the back.
6-1, the difference in the meters made. That's a better scrum from the Japanese at the feet of Moala, but Fujiwara gets it and releases it out to the right. Vailea kicks, chases, was taken out, the crowd will say, but referee says play on.
Interesting choice. Caught the baby blacks napping slightly down that right-hand touchline. But again, it's just a keenness to go to the boot, isn't it?
Into the line out, it's Rowe again, who finds some space. Fainga'anuku to his right. Fainga'anuku receives the ball and he'll finish. Denied earlier, the Baby Blacks, but not on this occasion. And Fainga'anuku picks up a brace in the first 18 minutes of the game.
Well, it's a good finish from Fainga'anuku. Slightly easier than the last one he had, but all that hard work has come from Xavier Rowe. He's had a great first 20 minutes as the little scrum half. Just sharp in and around those big forwards, marking up those defensive posts. And if you've got a scrum half like that, and get your big runners into him, you can see all the Japanese defenders just looking for the big runners, and that creates space for the likes of Rowe. When you compare him to the majority of the other team, the rest of his team, sorry, he looks like an under-12.
Well, Lester Fainga'anuku's brother Tima was part of the class of 2017 that won the championship. 4 tries in 19 minutes. And New Zealand putting on a class act here in the opening round of the World Championships for 2018. Rowe with the break. And they had some wonderful finishes last year in Fainga'anuku and Caleb Clark, who's back here as well, and also Will Jordan. He's picked up a Super Rugby contract. 12 of last year's team involved in Super Rugby, one going on to tour with the All Blacks in the end-of-year tour last year in Asafo Amua. Nothing wrong with the kickoff on this occasion. It's taken by Sullivan. He puts his head down and finds some easy meters. Balin Sullivan, ball in 2-hand. Then the fend. That is magnificent. That is one of the tries of the tournament on day one. Balin Sullivan goes coast to coast.
Incredible, almost speechless. We've seen something out of this world from Fainga'anuku, but Balin Sullivan, that is absolute genius. Well, I thought his pickup was pretty quick for the first 20 meters, but he kept on going. No one could get a finger on him, turning defenders inside out for fun. He's pretty happy with that, isn't he? That is something special.
Now, this young man has been part of the 2018 Chiefs squad. He's been training with the big boys, and he's playing like one of the big boys here in France. What a try. And the Japanese need to compose themselves. They need to start making some first-up tackles.
You know, from that kickoff, as Sullivan went up, one of the Japanese defenders just cheaply went past, and actually if he'd held his line, that was the hole that he went through.
There is Caleb Trask, kicking at 50%. New Zealand have scored 308 tries leading into this tournament. Add 5 to that, 313. Oh, and Trask has finally found his radar. This is impressive, and it really is becoming David v. Goliath.
It is very impressive from New Zealand in so many ways. But there are little things that the Japanese can do to add to their game, which wouldn't make it so easy for the Kiwis to score. That defensive line off kickoff. Can't have a chase.
This time they make their first up tackles on Laula. Big John, as he's known to his teammates, and they look for a good exit play, and that's nice. That's what you want to do after you've scored points, is just get out of your red zone. A lot of maturity being shown by these young men.
I think it's probably pretty easy to say, well, you know, this was going to happen to Japan. I think that's wrong. I think at times here, New Zealand have put some world-class stuff together that would be testing any side in this tournament.
Win the lineouts. It's quickly sacked to the ground, and so now pick and go. And that's Yamamoto. Kai Yamamoto is the blindside flanker. This is Hashimoto in jersey 5. He runs lateral or straight across the field, gives it back to the halfback Fujiwara. Mamada, the skip pass out to Fafita. He runs into the New Zealand captain, who quickly puts him to deck, and now it's Moala. So they're using their big ball players, their big runners, but they're not getting too much easy meters from this New Zealand side. That's line speed is good and accuracy and tackles is accurate, as we see there from Florence getting up quickly, the blindside flanker. 5 phases and they've lost 8 meters. They're just going across the field. Other Japanese players, so Tutu gets involved with the tackle. They pass the ball deep back, and so they can't kick it out on the full. And again, they kick possession away, and again, they give it to one of the real threats in Sporwat. And he's got Karoi out to his right. The tackle. First up by the Japanese, and they'll get some rewards.
Good long kick. Kick chase was perfect. They slowed up, they kept that defensive line, made the tackle, and they were in on the ball. That's good play from Japan. Quite sure who these conditions are going to suit, but it has started raining in Narbonne. Wonder why everyone was suddenly shifting about.
Well, it was Mori, Yuto Mori, out of the Meiji University, which is one of the big universities in Japan. And just reminding you, you can stay in contact with us at World Rugby, worldrugby.org, and of course the hashtag for this tournament is World Rugby U20s. First real attacking opportunity from the Japanese. They balk, and then they throw the ball down to Hashimoto. He brings it down, and they're going to look to try and drive and outmuscle the New Zealanders. They stay strong to the Japanese. This is a good set play. They're finally starting to move forward, and they continue to do so. Florence needs to get back onside. They've made 10 meters here, Japan. Fujiwara, he's got the ball, and now he's got to use it. Still holding on is Fujiwara. They'll get the penalty. This is the best passage of play. The missed pass, then the quick hands. New Zealand still holding their line. And all the forwards are involved, which means that the backs are going to have to stay strong here. Nezuka with his first carry of the game. No advantage, they'll get the penalty. And that's nice play from the Brave Blossoms.
They were really patient there. Knew exactly how they were going to play that. Actually, Fujiwara at the back there had his head up, didn't he? He was looking around. Looked like a meerkat on top of his hill.
I've seen meerkats look up like that. I like that. There he is, on the shorts of his teammate, looking up, getting a clip across the head for his troubles. And now Japan, they'll look to try and repeat what they've just done. Great opportunity, first real chance. And it's been overthrown, but beautifully taken by Yoshida. He's done well as the tight head prop to get his hands on the ball. They pick and go through the middle. Yes! That's a try to Moana. They're going to check if there was any obstruction, but Asapeli Moana thinks he scored the first for the Brave Blossoms. We'll go to the TMO. The question is, has he picked it up?
Okay, yeah, perfect.
From the ruck, and was he in the right position? We were briefed about this by the referees yesterday about where they're going to be looking here. Have a look at where it's set, Tom, and just where he comes in. So he comes in, axes the block. He's got 1 foot behind, picks it up. I think he's lost it forward.
He's knocked it forward, but also I think he's ahead of the ball, isn't he? That's the message for this type of play. But you're right. He sort of crept that ball forward with not real much control in in how he's doing it.
Lovely play originally from Ishida there. As you saw him, he set it up. He wasn't expecting to catch the ball, but he did. And this is where he couldn't believe it. Moala straight through the Black Sea.
Well, poor little Xavier Rowe was left in behind, wasn't he?
He had no chance.
Those are all the angles. Andrea.
Okay.
This is the last one.
Yeah.
I don't think he has lost it forward, but surely.
So for what I see,
Yes.
it's not a clear ruck, but where is the ball when he pick it up?
So that's the question
Is
being asked.
between his leg, or is it forward?
So referee saying it's not a clear ruck because there's not a
The ball is back his
Very
last
good
feet.
point.
So,
from the All Blacks involved.
It's not a ruck, but the ball is behind him, so no try.
Correct.
Okay.
So the confirmation there. And it's what we were showing on screens yesterday as well,
It's
Tom.
a ruck, but the ball is behind the last foot, so it's no try. No try.
So no try.
Offside.
He had to basically come back through the gates to then go forward to be awarded that try. We've seen a number of those, and that's an area that they're policing a lot stronger as the rain continues here. And that would have been a lovely moment for the junior Brave Blossoms.
They'll take some confidence from that, though, because so far this has been all about the New Zealanders. But Japan showing they can compete.
Tucker wins the ball. It's been taken back. They can't kick it out on the full, so they go down Main Street, right down the middle of the park. The dummy, and then half through the tackle was for Fita. The tackle on Proctor. Back now, and that's Morty. Just angling it out towards the left-hand side of Touch, and Trask sees some open space. Game now changing with the conditions that have changed, and so both teams looking for territory first and then looking to try and force the error. This is Koroi. Good tackle. That had to be made in the midfield. Satutu battles for the ball, and the referee says that's a ruck. You can't put your hands in there.
Good defense from Japan. Really working hard on their kick chase, and it's paying dividends. Making sure they get in a line. They're not trying to sprint out and make tackles. That was what created the opportunity for Sullivan. They've learned from that, which is good to see.
It's a great point that you make, that they've adjusted their line. Prior to that, they were just racing up, but on this occasion, they make the tackle and then they get all right to the ball, don't they? Straight over the top. There's Kai Yamamoto, and he gets the rewards for it.
It's what coaches want to see, isn't it? Players that learn on the hoof. Players that adapt to the game as it's moving forward without having to rely on input from the side.
It's one in the air by New Zealand. Who got up and contested, and now Rowe looks to clear it. Sport chases, but beautifully taken by Nezuka, and he breaks clear. Nezuka needed to offload, just gets it off in time. I thought that he had stepped in touch, but no, the referee says play on. And Japan with a little bit of confidence. The dummy now from Ishida. He's the tight head prop, Mamata. They go a little wider out into where Fafita again goes into the collision area. Japan holding on to possession after claiming the high kick. Okayama drops the ball out. Moala carries yet again, not too much on. Fujiwara gives it back to the front rowers who get involved. That carry from Yamada and close, and look at the great team tackling from the New Zealanders. Akolua Laula and also Numia in tandem. They've got an advantage here coming through the side, New Zealand. So just starting to give away a few penalties here, a little bit of ill discipline inside their own half, and Japan gaining momentum. 9 phases, Fujiwara gets it out, Mamata kicks over, that'll be taken by Koroi. too easy. And maybe the better option may have been along the ground.
Yeah, we've seen a couple of those today, haven't we? Those kicks that go up, give those back three the opportunity to claim the ball on the full. So difficult. Well, it's horrible, I give from experience. It's horrible when the ball's bobbling around in your own 22. And you know you've got no time to try and gather the ball.
And this is brave work and a brave decision by the Japanese. They could have registered some points, certainly within kicking distance, but that's the spirit of these young men playing in this World Championship. He's getting better and better as the game progresses, isn't he? Here's Shida, a tight head prop. Been told that they're going to police this quite strong as well. They want the gap in Japan, bring it down. They've lost it forward though, and so Thomas gets it out to Christie, the captain. Big wide pass out to where Whainganuku decides to step and then put on the afterburners. Passes there, Rose knocked it on. And they were queuing up with the New Zealanders. They were looking really excited. And the fact that they haven't touched the ball for a good 5 to 6 minutes now.
Yeah, the wet conditions, well, they haven't dampened their spirits, have they? Still want to have a go. Still want to play attacking, open rugby. But it's a balance now, isn't it? It's a balance between playing that offloading game and playing a bit more of the conditions. Tell you what, I was impressed with Nizuka's gas there in this near touchline.
I was impressed by the officiating. That was a great decision. He certainly wasn't out.
Just hold.
Scrum's got better by Japan. They've got to get it out of there. And oh, just as I say that, New Zealand go marching through. Rowe, the offload, Trask with the quick pass out to Whainganuku. He beats 2 defenders. Whainganuku scored 2, throws the miracle ball to Florence. Now out to Christie, who couldn't transfer it to Satutu. The back three of the loose forwards for New Zealand working nicely, but Whainganuku, he is special.
What do? Do you go low and he makes an offload? Do you go high and you get bumped off? He is a threat with ball in hand, isn't he? I'll go out there and I'll say it. I reckon he'll be in the team of the tournament.
Making early calls, it's day one.
I'm lobbing bombs left, right and centre.
And plenty of support for the New Zealanders. It's a decent hour back in New Zealand to be watching on the free-to-air channel in New Zealand. Hope you're enjoying the coverage we're showing you here from the south of France. Japan showing a lot of commitment and determination after conceding early points. They've really started to battle and gain confidence, and that's a nice carry from Moala. They'll get the penalty as well. I've got to say that this Japanese team have really gained some composure and they're starting to get some confidence.
Yeah, it's good to see, because there was a shot, wasn't there, when they were under the posts. They were in a group. They looked very shell-shocked, but they have remained composed. And the leaders in those positions, well, they've earned the respect of this All Black team.
That's an important part of the international rugby game, is respect. You earn it in the 80 minutes in between the white lines. And Japan certainly showing that they're not here just to make up the numbers. I want him to try and stay in the championship competition, not go back to the trophy there. It's been overcooked in another era. And the Japanese have fallen off too many tackles. 22 missed tackles now. In fact, 25 missed tackles.
They've missed more than they made.
That's incredible. Tucker gives it to Rowe. They loop around, then use forwards as decoys, and then another dummy out to Karoi. Someone slipped, it's gone to Sport. Knows that the sideline is there, and so intelligently angles back in to make sure he stays in play. Rowe clears it. Satutu to Florence. He gets over the gain line. It's again quick ball. Rowe out to the right. Trask. Dummy from the first 5. Not rolling away, so the kick over, and that'll be taken. In fact, it's not taken. Kuroi is there. Almost got his hands on the ball. What about the communication there between Rowe and Kuroi? The halfback kicked while he was facing his own goalpost.
It's a post-training move, isn't it? Let's try this.
Yeah, that's when the coaches
Aren't
not
looking.
watching. Exactly like that. Who does that? You expect that from the French, and we are in France, so why not?
It was Carlos Spencer that did that way back, wasn't it?
5 tries in the opening 37 minutes of the game. Tucker, who scored the first, brings it down. Now the big boys go to work. The heavy artillery start to rumble forward. It's Flynn Thomas with the ball in the boot. They go through the middle. There's plenty of power in behind. He goes close. Thomas thinks he's got it down. Referee doesn't agree. They release quickly. This time I think they're over. Referee just having a look. He's going to take time off, and that's the captain, Christie.
Try yes or no, please.
It's a beautiful line from outside in.
Yes or no?
Member of the 2017 team from Canterbury. And this is the best angle you'll get. Right there. Did he get it down? Morty trying to hold him up. Wow, the defense from the second 5. Oh, he's done brilliantly, Morty. That's a try saver.
That's brilliant from Maury. Now, sometimes in games you see swings in momentum. We're not going to see that here, but they're the things that you can pin your hat on. Little moments, little individual moments of brilliance that actually can just breathe a bit of life into a team.
You may award a try.
Well, he's given it. Momentum swings back with New Zealand. Try number 6 to their captain, Thomas Christie.
Well, that's tough on Maury. Really tough, fantastic effort. I'm really impressed with that man, Tom Christie. His work, along with his back row friend Tom Florence, well, they've been brilliant at the breakdown. That's what's made it so hard for Japan.
Well, New Zealand had scored 10 points in the first 4 minutes. So if you put things in to perspective, Japan have come back into this match, but just the error from the Japanese, and there the pass from Mafaleo to his captain. Didn't get it down the first time, but the TMO has decided that there was enough momentum there and forward momentum to get it down on the ground there, and that's a good decision.
They stemmed the flow somewhat, haven't they, Japan?
I spoke about how quick Nezuka was, and he's been replaced by the Waseda flyer in Koga. He can scoot as well. He's got great pace. As Koga, he comes in to make the tackle on the Tutu's dropped it. And so an error here from the New Zealand side. There he is. His father played for the Yamaha club over an 8-year period. I'm not sure about that hairstyle though, Tom.
Yeah, I certainly can't pull that off. It'd be a different colour anyway.
I'm only saying that because I got no hair. I'm just jealous. But yes, his father spent a number of years in Japan, so great to see Hoskin Satutu out of the Sacred Heart School that produced the great Sir John Kerwin and also Sean Fitzpatrick, to name but 2. bronze Japanese side. As mentioned, their best ever finish was in 2015, where they finished 10th. They returned after winning the trophy title, and they were last here in 2016, where they finished 12th. One of the players on the bench, Atoro Hondas, well, his sister Amy competed for Japan in skiing at the Winter Olympics in Pyeongchang this year. And of course, they've had some graduates that have come through. Michael Leach was involved in this tournament. Amanaki Mafi, now playing at the highest level for Japan, and also Tavita Tatafu. Well, that gets it back to Fujiwara. They run the angle, and again, it's the battering ram, but he's not held, and Mori does so well to skip and get out of the first tackle. So Tutu thinks he's won the penalty, and he has.
I've been impressed with this back row. Not only on the front foot, but the high yards and trying to slow Japan down, trying to turn that ball over.
And they tap and kick it into touch. 6 tries by the Baby Blacks in the first 40 minutes of the game. Gives them a scoreline that reads New Zealand 38, Japan 0. New Zealand flew out of the gates, scoring 2 tries within the first 4 minutes. And former England international Tom May, Japan certainly have had their moments.
Well, the challenge of the haka did its job, didn't it? It left Japan slightly like a rabbit in their headlights, but they've done brilliantly to stem the float. There's a couple of things they want to work on. Try and reduce those amount of missed tackles. Their individual errors, that's something that can be worked on as an individual. It's not a team system or anything like that. I think from a New Zealand perspective, it's trying to not go off script. It's very easy, I think, when you get up a lead like that, to go off on your own as an individual. So try and keep those carries positive, but also probably reduce the amount of handling errors that they've made, actually.
This is such a great competition. Now in its 11th season, and you think about it, it's as difficult to get in as it is to get out of. And so Japan, having come up from the trophy division, will learn a lot from this. They'll take the learnings and they'll move on in the competition. Halatoa Vailea, the right winger with the high kick, and an early error from the New Zealanders. He was offside, Thomas, as the ball came forward, and miraculously comes back onto the New Zealanders side. So somehow the ball in the wet conditions was able to do that. That's a lovely response from Yamazawa. Boy, that went high. Trask troubled in the lights as Karoi beats the first defender and then gets rid of Moala, who went too high. Here goes Karoi. Vilimoni Karoi needs some support. Ball in two hand. Find Florence. Then the offload. Here they come, New Zealand. And Proctor dropped it cold. Japan were there, and that is the class of Vilimoni Karoi. He's been identified, has played 11 tournaments for the All Blacks Sevens on the big stage, the biggest stage there is in Sevens rugby, and this is why they love him.
And look at this from Tom Florence. That's brilliant. Huge effort from a back rower to catch up with Koroi. And then dexterous enough just to get that ball back out to him on the wraparound.
He is one of the best attackers in the game.
Sorry, I was going to say they've got 2 of those in their back 3.
The pressure comes on now. Moala tries to control it. He does. That's lovely play from the big number 8. And now Rowe rips it out and gets it out to Sullivan. Sullivan gets it back to Rowe. He deserves a try. And the halfback's in. New Zealand cracked 43 in 42 minutes.
Well, this guy's been impressive all night. He's exploited the holes in and around the breakdown. He's showed what he's got with ball in hand. He's got pace. He's got strength as well. That's Moala, he's just stole the ball off. Give him a bag of sweets, I'm off. Look at that offload. It's the skills under pressure. Under pressure from Japanese defenders. They're under pressure from the conditions at the moment. That's amazing. Great to watch. He's deserved that, as you say.
The defending champions mean business in 2018. And they are starting the second half exactly the same as they did the first. They had scored within the first 50 seconds. It's taken them a little longer in the second half. Nonetheless, it is try number 7. And Caleb Trask looks to take it to 45.
Look at this. Sullivan's been brilliant. We spoke about him briefly between ourselves, didn't we, at half-time, and just that moment of brilliance in the first half, that is pure class.
I'm only pleased you're not picking the tournament team, because you've already got half of them written down in your book.
Steady.
Vailea with another nice restart. He's made one error in kicking it out on the full, but that occasion it was taken Laula did really well to control the possession. And now the big concrete mixers go to work. Rowe clears it out of his own half, out of his own 22.
He just looks calm on the ball, doesn't he? He might be one of the smallest fellas on the field, but he's really settled with his basic core skills. Oh, look at those offload stats as well.
That's what's really hurting Japan, isn't it? Is that you think you've got New Zealand, and then all of a sudden a magical offload, and a number of those 11 offloads have led to points. Hence the reason the scoreline reads as it does, as Japan, the ever-brave Blossoms, get possession, the step, and then another error. Sullivan gets it back to Kuroi. Stand by. The kick chase. Watch the bounce. Pops up, in Japan get the possession, and now they look to bring the ball back towards the midfield options, both left and right. Fujiwara goes out to the left, gets it to Ishida. He's carrying the ball like a Lucy now. Florence can't get his hands on the ball. Back to Mamada. The big wide pass out to Fafita. Drops the shoulder. Shows good leg drive. Does Moala, the number 8. Japan playing one-out rugby now. Tucking it under the wing and just going forward. They slow the ball down. Mafaleo look to try and counter-ruck. And the pass looked dangerous, but it's gone backwards. This is better from Japan. Fujiwara, that's been touched by New Zealand hands, so everyone's onside. Flying Anuku gets to the ball in time, looks up, buys some time, and now gets it. And to Sport, he's dropped it cold. Maybe some of the players just doing what you said they shouldn't, Tom, and that is get too individualistic.
Yeah, I think also you just got to play the percentages a bit more in these conditions. You can be the best world beater, but that's some pretty steady rain we've got out there, and that's going to put pressure on your skills. Wow, look at those stats. The important one for me is the bottom one, gain line success. That gives New Zealand the opportunity to create those offloads.
And now they get the ball from the line out, so Tutu. He's lost it forward. Japan on the counter-attack through Vailea. Not held, picks up and goes again. Tongan born out of the Nihon University. Good neck gain, the kick over the top. Rowe gets up, ball comes back. Japan look interested. Fujiwara picks it up. Florence says, come here, son. They battle, and eventually Arai gets taken into touch.
He gets through the dirty work, doesn't he, Tom Florence? Gets around the park. The hard stuff, supporting the bit when you're really hurting and your teammates need you, getting back, getting defensive tackles in. That's what you want from a back rower.
Tucker wins the ball from the line out. Thomas tidies up, gives it to Rowe. The missed pass to Trask, who sensibly says, let's get out of our own half and play territory. Let's ask some questions of Japan. Oh, that's a nice kick from Yamazawa. Oh, special play from the fullback.
He's had a good game. I've been impressed with him. He's been under pressure. I think he's dealt with it pretty well.
Here he is. The man whose older brother represented Japan and also got 3 caps in 2017. So the Yamazawa family will be absolutely thrilled at his performance. The ball, Rowe throws the ball out the back. Now the forwards. Watch the backs do their magic, and here comes the magician and Kuroi, the wizard. He throws a ball that's been lost forward. Japan certainly staying in the fight, battling for everything at the moment. Fujiwara gets it back, and it's that man again, Yamazawa, that sends Trask back towards his own 22. Good line, speed and good chase from the Japanese. Challenge in the air, it's been lost, back play on. He's not offside, and he does play on. That's good play from Ishida. He played at the ball, and that's what you do. Good lesson for young boys and girls watching. Play to the whistle, don't you?
You do play to the whistle, but he just had that little thought, didn't he? You could tell by his body language, had a little look around, wasn't quite sure, but brilliant. Fair play, reacted the best, reacted the quickest.
10 penalties in the game. There's the contest in the air. He looked, and like all good props, when they see the ball bouncing around, they like it.
Flop on it.
Well, you have to, kid in the lolly store, isn't it? You just like, you don't see it very often, props the ball, so when you do, you grab it. To the back they go, and that's overthrown, so now the race to the loose ball is won by New Zealand. Down and up goes Thomas. Back in the pocket, Trask uses the right boot out towards the left. Yeah, this is the replacement in Koga. Can't escape the tackle of Sullivan. Fujiwara gets slow ball, and again they're met at the gain line by the New Zealanders. The line speed is good. Big pass backwards to Mamata. He's done well the first 5. He's been handed some difficult challenges with ball and defender at the same time, and now New Zealand trying to outmuscle the smaller Japanese players. Still got possession. Fujiwara, he's in front as the player there, but beautifully taken from Rowe and then popped up to Trask. Trask weaves some magic. They've got the advantage for the high shot, the high tackle. Rowe has a look, throws it out. And the Italian referee says, let's go back to a set piece. This is a better passage of play from the Japanese.
Yeah, as the pace is rising in the game, it might be a bit harem scarum at times, but it's working for the Japanese. And I think also they've been quite intelligent about using these conditions to their advantage. That's the conditions are putting pressure on the junior All Blacks, but then they're applying their own pressure, which is making it doubly hard.
I know you were a back, I was in the forwards getting all the ball for you to look good. But I always think that in these conditions, the grubber kick along the ground is the most underutilised weapon in rugby. Very difficult for the attacking team as Tucker delivers the line-out ball on a plate. It's gone down, it's been lost forward, so just the concentration from New Zealand, and maybe we're starting to think a little bit too far ahead of what they're actually doing before they've done it.
You could just hear over the referee's mic, transition was too quick. Just trying to keep everything that they've worked on so hard in training. Try and keep all those roles and responsibilities bang on.
And the first try scorer, Will Tucker, gets a well-deserved break after 52 minutes. He's replaced by Waimana Redlinger-Kapa. This young man has been identified as real talent. He was the captain of the first 15 team out of Mount Abbott Grammar, the captain of the New Zealand secondary school team as well. We think of Mount Abbott Grammar, think of players like Sonny Bill Williams. And this young man is a leader. They've got the advantage here of New Zealand. Rowe quickly gets on the ball, and now the forwards look interested. Florence, as always, gets it. Now out to Thomas. He's been good as Thomas goes a metre short. They'll pick and go again and get over. Too easy. The mistake from Japan, Rowe pounced on it. And John Laula, who spent time in Japan in the off-season, gets his name on the on the score sheets.
Well, that was too easy. Big John, that's his nickname. If there's someone like that hanging around the back of a breakdown, you have to get up, push those boundaries with the referee. Japan just a bit too soft in that area. It's too easy for Big John to dive over. I'm not saying you don't abide by the laws, but you have to push those boundaries, especially when you're on your own try line.
Try number 8 for New Zealand, and Trask converts. New Zealand hit 50.
New Zealand hit 50. And on comes Scott Gregory. Time to make some changes for New Zealand.
Well, there he is. The man out of Whangarei Boys High School in the Northland region, was a silver medalist at the shot put and discus. He is one tough individual, is Scott Gregory, and Harry Plummer's also on. He's replaced Billy Proctor. And Plummer is another one out of Auckland. They won the Jock Hobbs Memorial, which is a trophy that's played for in New Zealand, where they identify all this young talent. He comes on the field, so, oh boy, it is class from 1 to 23.
Question to ask, how do you end up playing fullback if you're involved in discus and shot?
You watch him when he gets the ball. They charge forward to the Baby Blacks. Rowe, who's been instrumental in everything. He's been accurate. Now the high kick goes up. There to take it is Korga. And a good chase again coming from Sport. They've got to use it. Fujiwara does exactly that. Again out to the left, and now giving it some height. Chases comes through for Fita, let it bounce, so did Gregory. Ball is loose, Trask gets to the ball and he gets to the defender at the same time. Now Japan looking to be disciplined here, and they are. Rowe gets it. They look up and Trask sees a lot of space, a lot of real estate down in the half, and the Japanese players just grabbing his hamstring, grabbing his calf, maybe cramping up at the moment. And Yamasawa finds touch.
Yeah, I think that's Vailea, and it's Fujiwara as well. Shows you the amount of running they've had to do to try and catch up with these New Zealanders. Defensively, the amount of work they've had to do, both of those players would have had to do a lot of tracking back. Vailea working on that sort of pendulum system they have in their back three. And there's no doubt the amount of work that scrum halves get through.
Well, mate, post your retirement in 2015, you look fit. You could easily be back playing now.
I just need some hair dye.
Just reminding you as well, you can always keep in contact with us at World Rugby, worldrugby.org, and of course the hashtag for this tournament is World Rugby U20s. Ball doesn't find the target. The battle at the breakdown again is an important feature of rugby. Falls in the way, and on the side of Japan, Fujiwara recovers from the early areas, and now Gregory with his first touch of the ball. Runs into the defender and buys a bit of time for the support to arrive. Rowe's done really well. He got the defender at the same time. Managed to stay strong. Florence at first receiver. Japan now need to release the ball. Rowe. Now they look to try and find a gap on the inside shoulder. Nothing there for the New Zealanders. That's Harry Plummer, you can see calling out, and this is Redlinger Kappa. He gets a nice pass to Mafaleo. He's isolated. This could be a turnover for Japan. No advantage. They would have got the penalty there, but playing 9.
I was just saying to myself there, actually the defensive system of Japan was pretty well set. They're making some good chop tackles, but it shows you what just one gain line success does with an offload on the back of it. It's so difficult then to stem that flow. As soon as you threw the tackle, one offload comes, then another. And before you know it, you're 10 meters behind where you were. But that's the difficulty. Where do you go for these big runners? You have to work in pairs. Defensively, but you've got your inside and outside defender that you need to work really closely with, and that's that communication skill.
And here are a couple of changes. Tsukayama in jersey 18, and there's Hondo, the man whose oldest sister represented Japan at the Winter Olympics. I'm sure he'll want to make a name for himself out here on the international stage.
Sibling rivalry.
It's run by New Zealand, and now Sport from the right wing looking for some work quickly. It's released, and that pass out the back goes to Gregory. Got it from a standing start, and not too many options for the fullback, but to go into the contact. A little bit of Kiwi magic in close. Now Satutu. Quickly, the ball is released, and there's a lot of space out here for Sport. He's got players on the right and the left. Doesn't need the help. Sport denied in the first half, gets his name on the score sheet in the second.
Great finish from Sport. He's been desperate for that score. Would have felt pretty hard done by in that first half, but it's a poor read out there. If you fly up like that, you have to take man and ball. Have to take your hat off, though, to the New Zealand winger, just moving slightly off the ball before he's got it in his hands. So difficult to defend like that.
He's such a beautifully balanced runner, as the former New Zealand Barbars representative out of the Tasman area, as the New Zealand fans smile. They'll be loving the warm conditions here in the south of France, avoiding the New Zealand winter. And plenty of them have made the trip here to Europe. Sport is a wonderful finisher, and now still with the kicking duties is Trask. There's the ever-reliable Harry Plummer, who is one of the best kickers at this age grade in New Zealand, and that is wonderful. Oh, super, from a super player.
That's the ball, the floated ball, just allows Sport the opportunity to move off the pass. And that was what allowed him to get outside Yoshiyuki Koga. Fantastic score. Look out, here come the cavalry.
And there are some rather large units waiting to get their boarding passes, as New Zealand. Again, the short pass to Christie. He's tackled, he's isolated, but then he manages to hold on to the ball, and now Plummer gets it out. Gregory to Florence, loses the ball backwards. Going back is Fainganuku. He gets it to Florence now. One more offload, and that's what's working for the New Zealanders. Sullivan! He gets it to Gregory. New Zealand have made 50 metres in 3 phases, and now it comes out along the line. Trask to Plummer. The kick pass out to the wing. Beautifully taken by Christie, the captain. He offloads, and Sport says, make mine a double. Scores 2 in a minute, and that is all black magic.
We're being treated here tonight. Some sensational skills on show. Absolute genius at times. That ability to see the space in the corner and execute the kick. Astonishing at times. But they've got threats all over the field, haven't they? Look at this. That is pinpoint. Allows Tom Christie to come off the touchline. Oh, a cheeky little backdoor run from Tom Christie as well.
He is one of the great finishers of the game. Christie throws the SBW, as it's known now, the ball out the back. Boy, in my playing day, you threw that pass, you got the coach's warnings, and now New Zealand have cleared the bench. On comes Jackson, R.C. Cobb, Tremaine and Renton. They have played like the defending champions. No question about the style and the substance of this New Zealand side. Trask from another difficult angle, can't get it over, but big moments for a number of the players making their entrance onto the field as we once again look at the New Zealand captain offload. Sport in at the corner, and Will Tremaine, there's a name that many people around the world will know. Of course, the grandson of the great Cal Tremaine. On show here, his father is in politics in New Zealand. And he's got the great bloodline, he's got the great genes, and he'll be looking forward to getting his hands on the ball in this game. It's quickly taken by Akaola Lola, who did everything right by claiming the ball and then just losing it forward. Confirmation of all of the changes.
Been really impressed with the support work actually from some of the All Blacks. It's just that awareness also of the ball carrier to know where the support's coming from. Support reacting to the ball carrier, sitting in behind and then choosing the side to go.
New Zealand penalised for engaging early, and here is the wonderful attitude by this Japanese team. They might be behind on the scoreline, but when they get penalties, they want to run the ball, they want to score tries if they can. And that's what they've got to do, is change the angle, but they've lost the ball. Renton picks it up, gives the ball out to man of the moment, Spowett. Now the offloads again. Satudu buys just a little bit of time. The advantage is over, and here come some of the big boppers that have come onto the field. That's Asi, the 135k, whose nickname is Panda. Well, here goes Redlinger Carper, straight up the middle. The lock looking for support, throws a worm burner. That Jackson kicks, and he can't handle it. Now Japan, through Yamasawa, thought that he was away. Redlinger Carper couldn't believe his luck. Look at this, straight through the middle. He won't want to have a look at this pass though. That's a shocker.
Let's blame it on the conditions. Let's give him the benefit of the doubt. Did the hard work, didn't he?
He's passing to his teammates' boots.
I like the worm burner though. Becoming tough now for the Japanese. Bodies strewn all over the field as New Zealand stride up it.
Yu Saruta, he's out of the Meiji University. They've got a number of universities in Japan where it's not uncommon to see 90,000 fans at the matches. Meiji versus Waseda, two universities that really enjoy the challenge. And some of these players are from there, and they're going to have to work hard from inside their own half here through Fafita. And now Hondo is on in jersey 21. Back out to the big frame of Hashimoto. Again, Hondo releases that pass there, looked dangerous and almost intercepted by Plummer, but Japan somehow still have the ball, and now it's loose, tipped forward by Sullivan, and Trask thinks he's won the race. Well, hold all bets. That was a weird passage of play.
Just check.
Wasn't
sure
exactly-
whether Reds ground the ball first or Blacks will go upstairs and have a look.
Okay. Philip,
Wasn't
Yes,
vintage.
Andrea.
just check if the red player made the grounding before the before the black. Okay.
Yes, who made the grounding first?
Exactly.
Yeah, it wasn't exactly a great connection on the kick through, was it? Which just meant the ball spun. And because of the conditions,
I think the Japanese player has got to it
And check
first.
the grounding too by black.
That is going to be a real interesting call. Wow, is that an air swing?
I'm not sure whether you can call that a grounding. I think that's the...
It's not so much a grounding, you've just got to be able to apply pressure to the ball. I know a lot of people say that it has to be grounded, but it's not. It's making contact And I think he has made contact first before Trask has got there. But everything I've said has always gone the other way, so this will be a try.
Well, he's got some big mitts as Fafita, so I think he's hoping for the best.
I have a decision.
Yep.
Yeah. No try, the ground doing by red player first.
So 22.
Yeah.
Fafita's
No
big
try,
hand
22.
to get there in time.
Really difficult for both teams, actually, especially when you know you're being hunted by those New Zealand attackers. That was the connection, just horrible spinning ball, so difficult to deal with. Well done, Fafita.
38-0 was the half-time scoreline. An extra 24 points has been added by New Zealand, and the scoreline certainly not a reflection of the effort shown by this young Japanese team who were in the trophy competition last year. They're now back in the championship as Satudu breaks the first tackle, big and strong as this outstanding athletes to get through the first tackles. And there's an error. Number of changes from the players means that just the patterns are going to take time for them to try and get those combinations going well.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's, you know, there are things to work on here for New Zealand, certainly. It might be 62-0, but Japan had their moments, didn't they? They applied pressure. I think if you can look at those stats, though, yeah, 17 handling errors, that's not what the coaches would want to be seeing.
Miyu Arai takes his time and he misses the jumper, but it's been lost forward by Ricky Jackson, the man out of the Otago region, wearing jersey 16. He was running like a back in support of his teammate earlier and thought that he was going to get under the horns.
There's a few forwards there tonight that have, you know, showed a huge amount of power and pace. Great to see.
That's where the injury occurred. And have a look at the size of Sione Asi from the Manawatu region. He's on the loosehead side of the scrum here. Tips the scales at 135 kilos. Says his nickname is Panda. I'll just call him Sir. Plummer takes it. Renton does the hurdles at the Olympics and goes straight into the contact. Again, Plummer plays halfback. Redlinger Karpa decides to hold on to the ball. Renton gets there. The inside pass from Trask is read by the Japanese defense line. Florence, who's been involved in everything, says, I'm going to just pick the ball up and you've got to follow me, and they do. Renton to Satudu, to Trask, and now the wet ball finds the ground. Here's Jackson. New Zealand look like one of their players in the lock. John Akaola Laula doesn't look too comfortable there, looking to try and run it off. Well, you've been a back and a centre, an international centre, you'll be pleased with that. Sullivan leading with 151 metres made.
And he's been sensational. He got the majority of those in that one run, didn't he?
They would have taken the sum off sport because he scored a couple that he wasn't given. Those are big meters by the backs. Look at that. Everyone involved in Koroi, the fullback row, who had an impressive start for this side at halfback, Xavier Rowe.
It shows you how they've tried to play the game as well. All those guys in the wider channels here tonight. Apart from Rowe, well, he's made his own incisions from much closer in, played brilliantly.
There is a stat that defines the scoreline. The land of the rising sun, here's the full moon in the south of France, and 17 offloads. And I'd suggest that maybe 8 of those offloads led to tries.
Yeah, certainly that first half was full of amazing offloads, wasn't it? And it's finding the balance of when to make those offloads, and that's probably something they would look to try and even out, I think, during training before the next match day.
The educated French rugby fans appreciating the efforts of the New Zealand lock, who makes his way to the sideline. This is such a beautiful town, the south of France, where they love their rugby, and they've got some gun rugby teams in the south of France. Here, of course, France touring New Zealand at the moment. So the All Blacks are set to battle the French over the next few weeks, as Renton, another one from the Southland Boys High School, gets it out, and they've changed positions by bringing Plummer into first receiver. Sport adds a couple more meters to his resume. Renton to Redlinger Carper, former New Zealand secondary schools captain. And now RC plays first receiver. Plummer gets the ball from Trask, couldn't do too much with it. They're going backwards, and now Jackson, Ricky Jackson, puts the head down. It's cleared. Nuku was getting cold out on the wing, and so comes looking for some work. Cobb plays halfback. That's one of the bigger halfbacks in the world you'll ever see. More meters for the men in black. Trask tries the pop over the top, easily taken by Fafita. Hondo plays halfback, gets it back, and Mamada can't find touch. The defensive line now needs to stay strong as Trask gets past the first and the second tackle. Passes on the inside to Sporwood. Pops up now for Plummer. Renton at halfback. Florence. Not Nightingale, but he certainly has acted like that for this New Zealand team. And now the era, Japan with the first opportunity through the break. Hondo. Japan playing with the spirit that we've known that they can and will play. Here goes Yamazawa. He's got pace, throws the miracle ball. It's drifted forward. And you get excited when Japan gets space and get ball.
Definitely, and that was the one opportunity, I think, where they probably should have put boot to ball. Down this near touchline, there was no one home. There was no one home. But it certainly got the crowd going. That was a great ball. Fixed that outside defender. But it would have been a foot race, wouldn't it?
Well, the Japanese have made 115 tackles. So the tackle bags certainly got a working over. Leading up into this tournament, they've had to do a lot of defending. And that fatigue factor now just starting to play its part in the final 9 minutes of this game. Renton spots a gap, that closed quickly. Nuku to Trask. Sees some open real estate in behind Yamazawa. In fact, it's Valea. That's a lovely kick as well. Not much of an angle there. New Zealand want to get on with the game. Renton throws it in to Trask, and he goes back to the corner where it's picked up by Moala. Here goes the number 8. He won't kick. Looks for the biggest men on the field and runs straight at him. And Asi, that's not a smart move.
No. That's just... That's knowing exactly what he wants to do, but when you got 2 or 3 big props there, I say big props, one of them was Trask.
Yeah, no, I think he went running to try and get to Trask, but he had to run around an apartment block first.
He got beaten into that space by RC. Great to see the competitiveness still there, though, isn't it? 62-0. The desire is there.
And they won't leave you wandering, Japan. And this will put them in a really good frame of mind for the next games that they have. They'll play against Australia next, and then Wales, and from that the seeding will then go into the next stage of this championship. And boy, when you see the results today, Italy beating Scotland, Georgia keeping South Africa so close, and look at those meters there. That's a good effort. That's a good day's work from Moala.
There's times as a player during your career where you just have to forget some games, some results, and just build on the little positives, and they have got positives to build on.
Japan were behind by 10 after 4 minutes. They fought their way back into this game, and the other positive that they can take from this is they conceded 6 tries in the first. They've only conceded 4 in the second half, and remember, this is the defending champions in New Zealand. Momoji is on, and so is Aibe. New Zealand wanting to play the game at pace with Jackson, who gives it to Renson, who calls for the ball. It's a nice run by Tremaine. Or Tremaine with his first carry. The power game again employed here by New Zealand. Counter-ruck from the Japanese means that there's a gap there. New Zealand look to exploit it. Now it's Asi with the support of his propping mate in Cobb. Ball eventually comes back. Renson has it. Trask is there. Passes the ball on the inside. Again, the tackle's been made by Japan. Ball is there. The New Zealanders are calling for offside, but referee not having any of it. Wonderful defence from the Japanese. It's close again. They've got numbers out here. They'll just do the kick pass from Trask out to Sport, and if he had caught that, he was in again. I've employed this on a couple of occasions. Trask to Sport. Just couldn't handle it at the end. New Zealand will lead on the scoreboard, but one error, or one stat that they won't want to see tomorrow morning when they have their debrief is the handling errors. 19 handling errors to Japan's 10. And they're going to have to improve on that stat if they are to successfully defend their title here in France. New Zealand have split their back line. To the right-hand side is Gregory and Sport. And out to the left, Trask, Plummer, Sullivan and Whainganuku. Both wingers sitting on a pair. Will we see a hat-trick in this game? New Zealand put the pressure on, and the referee says we'll reset. Junior All Blacks certainly put on a senior performance here against Japan. 10 tries in 78 minutes. Best option would be to go to the right to draw and pass, but they look up and come to the left. Trask gets it to Sullivan. He goes 2 meters short, and they've lost the ball forward. And look at the delight from the Japanese. And the 20th handling error for New Zealand. That is a stat that will not win you a world championship. Here's just the commitment to the tackle from Vailea. There's Sullivan just losing the ball. And we know these young men set high standards. As we look at his running meters, that is a good shift. 151 meters, he's beaten 5 defenders. Managed to offload on 3 occasions. Quality player is Balin Sullivan. Hondo feeds, the heat comes on from the junior All Blacks. The ball's bobbled and to the contact. New Zealand saying leave the ball, trusting their defence systems. And Japan again go across now. The kick that's been partially charged down, picked up and over they go. And that's the hat trick for Jamie Spowett. Day 1 of the 2018 World Rugby Under-20 Championships, and the right winger for New Zealand makes it 3.
This time, try to be close to the camera.
Well, the charge down meant the ball just sat up, and as easy as you like, the finisher helped himself to a hat-trick here in the first match of the 2018 World Championships. New Zealand still have some work-ons, and this Japanese team showed a lot of grit, determination and tenacity. And making it a contest. Trask denied by the woodwork. And the Baby Blacks have started 2018 with an emphatic victory over Japan. Full time here, New Zealand 67, Japan 0. Six tries in the first half, 5 in the second, an 11-try fest for the defending champions in New Zealand. Japan were always going to be facing it tough against a side that is determined and desperate to take home some silverware. And former international Tom May is down with the New Zealand captain, Tom Christie.
Tom, a fantastic performance tonight. Some really fantastic individual performances as well as a collective. How do you rate that performance?
Oh, I think we'll be very happy with it. Obviously, we're going to review and look at the really nitty-gritty stuff first, but on a whole, we're really happy. I mean, we brought players over here with amazing skill sets, and that showed tonight. I'd like to congratulate Japan as well. I mean, it was very, very tough out there, probably tougher than it did look. They were unbelievable at the breakdown, and they did a lot of things well as well, which really challenged us, which is really good going forward as well.
And difficult periods of time, as you mentioned. The Japanese got on top a bit, didn't they? And they've certainly got some big carriers, but you had to deal with them.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, the Japanese were a classy outfit and they really brought it to us in a couple of areas of the game. The driving maul was really challenging to stop, and their level of skill at the breakdown was pretty good as well.
What specific areas do you think there would be to work on before the Welsh game this weekend?
I think we'll go away and have a look at it, but I think focusing on us and focusing on our processes just to make sure that we get the little things right. I think moving forward in this tournament, there's going to be some big games and some big moments where we are going to need to get those right. So we'll focus on the little things and really work on the details moving forward, I think.
Top stuff. Thank you very much. All the best.
Cheers.
He's a fantastic captain, is Tom Christie, and a lovely bit of humbleness there as well, letting us all know just how competitive the Japanese side were. And so let's now get some reaction from the Japanese captain.
A difficult night for Japan, but there's certainly some positives from that game. How do you rate your performance?
大変でしたが、ポジティブなところもありました。どうですか？
まあそのニュージーランドオールブラックスのフィジカルに対してちょっと受けてしまって、自分たちがやりたいラグビーがちょっとできなくて、そこでちょっと停滞し、
Okay, and so we lost out on physicality to New Zealand, but we definitely played the style of rugby that we wanted to play.
And you had some great performances, I thought, and there was some good periods of time during the game where you got on top of them. That's got to give you confidence moving into the game against Australia.
あるところではすごく良いプレーができて、これからのオーストラリア戦に向けて、ポジティブなところがありますでしょうか？
まあ今日、負けてしまったんですけど、ジャパンのラグビーは全然終わってなくて、まだ成長できる時間があるので、この試合を、糧にしてしっかりまだ成長し、オーストラリアに向けてトレーニングしていきたいと思います。
So the rugby isn't finished for Japan. We've got a lot of time and a lot of space to improve. We're going to train hard going forwards and try to work towards the game for Australia.
Unlucky. All the very best for the rest of the tournament.
They certainly deserve to be back in the championship rounds. The scoreline not a fair reflection of just how good these men were at New Zealand, taking full advantage with the 11 tries that they scored. And let's have a look at the table before we leave you. Here is Pool A, New Zealand with the victory. Wales upsetting Australia in their opener, so Wales sitting in second place. New Zealand will play Wales in their next match, Australia to meet Japan, but the Goliath of the Under-20 Rugby World Championship, New Zealand, has triumphed against the tenacious and Japanese side. New Zealand 67, Japan 0. Thanks for joining us. Hope you can join us on day 2 of the World Rugby Championship here in France.
はい